Hey guys, I started freaking out yesterday when I realized I'm experiencing deja vu. It is September 2017. The amount of similarities I found between now and then is started freaking me out. And I'm also going to talk about patterns, why they happen and why all of a sudden they don't happen. So I don't want to get too crazy here. But I think it's important to recognize the similarities between now and September 2017. And if it is similar, what does that mean is going to happen? And I'll give you the punchline right now, which is over the next month or two, Bitcoin's going to outperform everything. Okay? You might be surprised hearing me say that because I've been pounding the table, Ethereum. But I'm just looking at the facts here. And let me show you the similarities. So first I had this, I saw someone posted this tweet. Hey, remember in 2017 when Bitcoin went from 5,000 to 3,000 and then went all the way back up and I remember that. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. And I thought the bubble popped. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I was like, well, why did it pop? And then I did some research and I looked at my old videos. Why did it pop? So here's a video. What I've got to cut. Let's see here. I want to do 5:30 first. I made a video, and what's funny is this was one of my most popular videos ever at the time. September, and it was pop. The bubbles burst. I was saying, you know what? This is it. I wasn't, me. I'm always on both sides. Anything can happen. But I was like, hey, let's take some profits here. It looks like a top. And anyways, I've got a lot to say on this. I don't even know where to begin. But that's just the video. The reason that we thought it popped was governments coming after it. China banning it and U.S. regulations was the reason. Which is the same reason we have now.
System here, like I said, with Japan and Korea and the other governments are hands off. All of a sudden, we've got China now shrinking the ecosystem, closing down exchanges, and it's now clear they're serious. They're like, you're closing down, So,
and I remember this. Huobi, the largest exchange in the world, in China. There was another one, and then it's they're all closing. But let's remember what actually happened. This China ban on exchanges and on ICOs, it was a big deal. What happened? Nothing. Binance left China. Huobi and OKX, the other big one, I don't know. They're still around, bigger than ever. They probably just paid off some officials. I have no idea, but the crackdown didn't do shit. But it did scare people at the beginning, and it seemed like a real thing, just like now. I mean, it seems like a real thing, and people are selling in China. I don't understand how it all works, to be honest. But I do see the similarities here. And there was the other, the U.S. government. Let's see.
okay. Plus, you have governments. The U.S. government recently said tokens are securities, and they've been also sort of. You see in the media, too, Jamie Dimon coming out and saying this is a fraud.
Again, in hindsight, oh, government says these are securities. Who cares? Right, who cares? Nothing happened. EOS, remember that one? They raised $2 billion so that they could line their pockets. Nobody got punished. XRP, been selling to dummies forever. They didn't get punished. Oh, they're in court, please. They made $1 billion. They'll have to pay $20 million to get out. Please. No, it did. These government crackdown didn't do shit. And then what happened? So now let me also. I just want to get into the similarities here because there's more. The other thing that happened with this crash, there was Bitcoin dominance. So this is what percent Bitcoin is of the market. Look at this. It was at 85%. And then it crashed. You know what this was? This was the ICO mania. This was Ethereum. The Flippening is coming. Ethereum had a huge run. Shitcoins, ICOs, craziness. Bitcoin plummets. Then The market crashes because the government is cracking down, especially China. And what happened next? Bitcoin rockets up. That's what, that's one of the reasons I'm making this prediction here, because that's what happened last time. But let's think through, why does that happen? Where are we now? First of all, I've been saying for a while, like, I don't know if I said this in any videos, but when I've been talking to people, it's like, people always want to chase whatever's going. Oh, now I'm going to buy the dog coins because they're going up. You missed it, right? Oh, now everyone wants to get into Ethereum. It just ran up. Oh, now, a lot of this also I'm talking about, this is short-term shit. Look at Bitcoin. It had a big run. It came right back down. I love Ethereum long-term, and none of that has changed. But short-term, because I also want to show you my video, but what was I getting at? The other similarity. What was I going to say? Well, the other similarity that's funny is when this crash happened in 2017, when I made this video, my other point was I'm up 10x in Bitcoin. My Bitcoin buy-in was around $300, and now it was at 3,000, and I'm like, I'm up 10x. Things look scary. Be smart, take profits. Guess what's going on right now? My Ethereum, my buy-in, I'm in at around, I don't know, $250. We're at 2,500. I'm up 10x. Things look a little scary. Don't be greedy, Dave. Start selling. This is going through my head. It's a repeat. This is why these things repeat, because the same shit happens. And I'm going to talk at the end about how this, I feel like it goes deeper. I've seen things, how people live patterns. It's very interesting. Okay. Anyways, now, and this will give you a feeling. I want you to pay attention to my expression here. I had sold, I don't remember exactly what I did. All I know is I had less Bitcoin to a point. You can see my expression. Let me show you what happened too with the chart here. So this was, now, and keep in mind, these crashes don't look huge because this is an old, I had to shrink the numbers here on CoinMarketCap. And, they get smoothed out. The reality is when there's a pop up, like this here says 4,800, it probably hit 4,200, 300, a tick on one exchange. And then the crash here, it says 3,600. I know it went lower. I know it dipped below 3,000. So this doesn't give the full extent, but you can see it was up to 4,000. It went up to like 5,000 was high, came down to 3,000. And then look what happens. This is, let's say, the crash, September 15. By October, 1 month later, here it's at 6 and kept going straight up. That means that if we're doing a little repeat show here, Bitcoin could be at 70,000 in a month, right? If this pattern repeats. But also look what happened. Look at Ethereum. Same thing. Crashed. It went from, I can't see my numbers over my head here. Let's move this. And again, these numbers are smoothed out. Let's say 400 to, 200. Whatever. It's probably, whatever. It also had a crash. Big crash. And then what? It didn't go to new highs right here. So what happened was Bitcoin shot up to new highs. Ethereum was up, but my memory was most everything was sort of flat, and Bitcoin just fucking took off. And I had emptied my bags for that run. Now, again, look at my expression, because I'm like fucking upset. I'm just like, God damn it.
If you're all into all the different cryptos and you don't own some Bitcoin, you are FOMOing your ass off right now. And I concede my pessimism towards Bitcoin recently. I see where I made errors in my opinion. I'm changing it. I'm not buying today.
So, I was like, and my conclusion was, and I said this, I remember, I'm just like, next time there's like a government crackdown, I'm like, Bitcoin, they're not affected by this, and like, I'm going to ignore it next time it happens. I'm glad I watched this video because I was like, oh shit, government crackdown. Oh, China, this is real. And I was like, wait a second, I've seen this fucking movie before. Literally, this video. And then what do I have at 120 here?
Of course, it looks like it's wrong, but we'll see what happens maybe with prices overall. But the point of my video was governments are coming after crypto. Governments are good at popping bubbles. You know, this is a problem. Well, guess what? It's not a problem. At least not for Bitcoin.
So, you know, I had my tail between my legs here. And here I am again. If I didn't have this video and wasn't tweeting and sitting around all day trying to figure shit out, I'd be doing the same thing over again. This is why people who buy at the top always buy at the top. People who sell at the bottom always hit, because it's the shit repeats. And, you know, let me just see. I want to, oh, shoot. I was going to do my warnings at the beginning and I forgot to do it. Okay, please listen carefully here. First of all, market is down. The most important thing is, do you need cash? Right? First of all, you should never be in a situation where you need cash with investing. You should always invest with, this is money that if the market goes down, I'm just going to wait until I get my price, right? With my Ethereum, I am confident 5 years from now it's going to be way higher. I don't give a shit. So if it crashes tomorrow, all that means is I'm not selling anytime soon because it's too high, right? I'm waiting. I'm waiting for my price to come and I don't care. As opposed to being like, well, I'm buying a house next month. I got to sell next month. Oh, it went down. Shit. Now I have to sell it lower. Like, you don't want to be in that situation. If you need to sell, that's just a bigger problem than we're even talking about here. Don't get yourself in that situation. And if you do need to sell, all these decisions are a lot more difficult because you have a short-term time frame. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen in the short term. Granted, this whole video is about me predicting what's going to happen in the short term, but I don't know. And I'm also going to talk about with the trends, patterns repeat until you recognize them, and then they stop repeating usually. So I'll talk about that too. But anyways, that's the first thing. Next thing is, you know, when you're getting into short-term bullshit, selling and buying, and also I always say, oh, I sold some Bitcoin. I mean, sometimes it's like maybe I sold a tiny bit, right? Maybe listen, I don't know what I did here, but a lot of times when I talk about changing your portfolio, it's like changing the percent. Like I have some people, you know, when people have said to me, what should I do? And it's like, well, if you're 100% Ethereum now, I don't know, put 20% into Bitcoin might make sense, right? It doesn't mean sell it all and don't get crazy, okay? Sometimes just little adjustments for a little alpha, right? Another thing is, some of you, again, know yourself, know your patterns. If you're a proven long-term holder and you're good at that, that's usually the best thing, certainly in the long run. Don't start chasing me with these stupid ideas of a short term, going to chase Bitcoin for 2 months and get back to Ethereum. Like, if you're a holder guy, like, stick with that. You know, but if you're a stupid trader who's always late, you know, this might apply more to you. Also, taxes. Taxes can fucking kill you. Now, people have different situations, whatever, your tax rate and how it works and what country you're in and all that. But if you're like in the United States and your tax rate is, 50%, and you've been holding ETH forever, you know, in other words, you're selling it, you're sort of like paying a 50% haircut on it, that means you need Bitcoin to double for you to like break even. I don't know if that math is right, but you know what my point is like high taxes can make this whole thing very difficult to just get it right. And it's not worth it, you know. So depends on your tax situation too. Like that's a big factor. Can be a big number, and if it's not a big number, then it's why not switch in and out of things? And a lot of times, I mean, because that percent is big. You know, remember you're crying about crypto drops by 20% and everybody's in tears. Well, if you sold at the top, and your tax rate was 20%, and you got it from like zero, right? If it's all capital gains, you just got it 20% right there, right? So remember that. And that's the other thing. What is your cost basis, right? When did you get in? If you've been holding it for 4 years, your cost basis is literally like 100% of it. You're going to lose 20% just on the sale. And that's if your cap gain rate is 20%. Okay. The other thing too is, what is your portfolio? If you got caught up in Dogcoin mania and you got a bunch of shit coins and you got a bunch of stuff that I think is crap, you got Cardano up the ass, you made a ton in Ethereum Classic, which is a piece of shit token. Now, after a huge run, after Bitcoin, which is, listen, historically, Bitcoin is the least volatile, the safest of the, speculative cryptos, and you just made money in some tiny fucking thing that went straight up, maybe it's not that stupid to lock in and protect yourself a little bit with some Bitcoin, right? On the other hand, if all you have is Ethereum, which I love long term, I do not love Bitcoin long term. Then I don't know, that's another reason to just not even do anything here. What was I going to say? And then, in something like I talk about Uniswap. I love Uniswap. I love decentralized exchanges. Uniswap is the king, but things are moving fast. Uniswap is more risky. I don't know. Maybe SushiSwap's going to pass them. Maybe something else is going to pass. I don't know. So is Uniswap going to be the leader in three years? If this was the top of the bubble, and now we're going to sit here for 2 years, and Uniswap is going to sit at, $15 and lower for a year, by the time it's coming out of it, is Uni still the leader? And now you can't sell because you don't want to sell it low, and you got stuck in someone who's not a leader. So that's riskier than Ethereum. But at the same time, these DEXs are growing like crazy. Uni looks good. So anyways, the point is, when we talk about, my point of this video is very basic, which is Bitcoin's due for a run. Did I already say how I've been saying this to people? I think I got off track and didn't finish that thought, which was, don't go chase things around. It was like shitcoins running, and I was saying Ethereum's next, and sure enough, fucking Ethereum ran, right? And then I said, but I was also saying Ethereum is next, and then it's going to be Bitcoin's turn. And then when this whole crash happened, I sort of forgot about everything. It's like, oh, now nobody's next. It's over, And now I'm like, wait a second. I said Bitcoin's next. It's Bitcoin's turn, right? And the chart shows that. The timing of this shows that. I'm just like, this is too fucking weird. So, by the way, this I'll put these links in the description. This is CoinMarketCap. I love this thing. So again, it fell, then Bitcoin ran, then there was another shitcoin run, and you can see here the white was all others. That was just, I mean, it looks like really the Dogcoin mania. So in this run, Ethereum ran first and then the shitcoins. I feel like in this run, it was sort of shitcoins and then Ethereum will have, who knows? Listen, I don't want to get too crazy in predicting. And I always talk about don't predict prices. Be safe for no matter what's going to happen. In other words, if it booms up, you want to be well positioned. If it crashes, you're well positioned, you have your cash and all that, and don't start making predictions. And I would never advise chasing shitcoins. I'm just listen, Bitcoin's been around, it is a safer trade, and it hasn't moved for a while. Okay, so I'm like, and the other reason too I wanted to make this video, because I've been saying since January 2020, Ethereum, you don't need any Bitcoin. If you want to hold it, fine, but I wouldn't hold any. And so I wanted to get this out there because I feel like it's about to run. And at least for my reputation, I want to be like, listen, I told you, right? And if not, I'm still telling you to hold your Ethereum, right? I can't lose. Okay, so let me just check my notes here because I sometimes forget. So this is September 2017. Okay, and then, so why does this happen? Why I wonder if I could change this now to this. No, this. Okay. What's interesting, why do these trends happen? Why do patterns repeat? And I was thinking about this. It sort of makes sense, or I can think of a scenario why it would make sense, right? Tokens, all these tokens start going up in value, like going crazy, and people making money. And who's been getting rich? Who got rich off of shitcoins with the ICO in 2017? Who got rich with the dog coins? It's a bunch of, I'm sorry to all of you who've made a lot of money, and I'll throw myself in that camp. It's a bunch of schlummies. A bunch of idiots like me, right? I mean, who are we to be millionaires? I mean, listen, I've been making money for a while. But, I mean, for a lot of you, it's like, oh, look at me. And then, and listen, and not to disparage all my viewers, a lot of you are actually really smart, study a lot. But you probably know some people. And I talked about in my last video, there's so many people who bought like $500 versus Dogecoin because they thought it was funny, and now they got $10,000. Like, God bless them. But the government starts seeing all of these people making a lot of money on, these are, the government top officials, sometimes too smart for their own good, right? The academics, and they're like, well, this is bullshit. This is stupid. This is wrong. And then some of them, in a caring way, oh, they're going to get hurt. They got all their money in a dog coin. We need to stop this. So in a sense, that run, that shitcoin mania motivates government to do a crackdown. So then the government comes out with all these things to do a crackdown. But what also happens? The reality is government can't do anything about the shit. And so then, so prices go down, but actually the crackdown's sort of fake. Meanwhile, the central bank is still printing, which is causing the problem in the first place. So then everything goes up, but it's not everything. Why Bitcoin? Because again, Bitcoin hasn't been running, and now everyone's a little nervous. People aren't so quick to jump into shitcoins now that they're all so scared. So they're like, well, I got all this money. I want to get in something. I might as well go in Bitcoin. So it sort of makes sense, right? And how this pattern repeats. And I've seen this. I used to be Mr. Hollywood years ago, throwing parties. And one thing I always noticed that fascinated me was people would show up to the party with, like, a guy would always show up. There's one, there'd be one guy. He always shows up with like 3 girls. Not only would he show up with 3 girls, they would be very similar. Like he would always show up with chicks who were crazy and wanted to jump in the hot tub. Another guy would show up and he'd always bring like one girl who was really chill and nice. Another guy would always show up and he would you'd always have like 2 girls and then 4 guys, and it would be a problem at the door because I didn't want to let them in. And the guys he would bring would always be guys with really crazy, stupid business ideas. Like the trends were always so similar. Different people, but with this trend that was the same. There was one guy who always showed up with people who I became friends with. Like, he just brought really cool people. Like, it was, and I just found it really interesting that people that trend of who they travel with. And I see this too with, trends that we have sometimes with buying and selling. I've mentioned buying high and selling low. Like, and I've had this with certain stocks. I remember like Tesla, fucking nail that thing all the time. It would be low and I would buy it. It would be high and I might sell some. And I just like have always just bought low and sold high with Tesla. I don't know. I'm just like in connection with that thing. I think it's because I understand the story. IBM, back when I used to play with that thing, I was always backwards. Every time IBM, it was like I would buy when it's high and sell when it's low. And I finally just walked away from it. Like, I can't seem to figure this thing out. Not to mention it's a shitty stock, but, it you could have done okay if you were just buying low and selling high on it. And also people who date a certain type of person, and you'd always be like, well, why am I dating this type? I'm always with, a woman who is like this, or, someone who's mean, or whatever, some negative thing is usually what we complain about. Why do these trends happen? It's like this deep thing in your head of how you work. And so then what happens, the best way to change a trend that you have which it doesn't always work, but I mean, just self-awareness. A lot of our trends we're not aware of, right? Same thing with gaining weight, right? And being healthy. Whenever you ask, if you see a really overweight person, ask them what they eat every day. You know what they tell you? I wake up, I just have an apple for breakfast. I have a salad for lunch. And I have a little piece of chicken and a vegetable for dinner. That's all I eat. Okay. Obviously, you're fucking 400 pounds. You eat more than that because they are not aware of their trend. Like they're sort of know and they're not telling you whatever, but at the same time they think that it only once, sometimes I eat candy all fucking day. Once in a while. But they're not, if they became fully aware of it, then it would stop. Right? Because then it's like, that's why these fucking devices, I'm going to make a video soon about all my, I get the Apple Watch, the Oura Ring, I get all this data about my heart rate. That's why I stopped eating at night, because I can't block out the negative trend. I look at the data. Dude, your heart rate was high because you ate a bunch of shit before bed. And then I stopped eating because it's like you can't, when you become aware. The reason I'm ranting about this for way too long is because what's interesting with these patterns, when they become aware, they stop. So if you saw a lot of people talking about what I'm saying now with this trend, this is the same as 2017, it's government crackdown, so we're not at the top. If everybody's saying that, that means we're all fully aware, and then the trend probably won't happen. Now, the fact that I'm just one person, I don't know if anyone else is saying this, you might have your alpha because you tuned into the one part of your brain, that knows what's going on, and the rest of it's all ignoring it. And maybe I do have this insight of a pattern, and it's going to continue because nobody else sees it. But, the reason I'm mentioning this too is be careful about looking for patterns because they tend to break the minute you find them, right? It's just like 100 times in a row this happened. And this happens every single time that happens, and every time. And then you just discover this pattern, it's a sure thing, and you make a big bet on it, and that fucking pattern just ended. That always happens. So don't get too cocky with this brilliant insight of mine. Let's see. Okay. And what, my last little point of like, I just think about this stuff and it just seems so weird. Like the fact that I was up 10x at the Bitcoin crash in Bitcoin, and then this time in Ethereum, I'm up 10x in Ethereum at this crash. Like, is that just a coincidence? And it's like, maybe, but it's like, again, it's who I am, like, and how these things work. It's, I do buy at the boring low. I'm in that, I do that. Like, and then, well, what is a big run? At what point do the crazy people in? Well, when I've made a certain amount of money and I've told certain people, and then they copied me and they told people, these things snowball. And it gets to a point that when I'm at 10x, these other people are at 5x, and all the crazy people just made 100%, and then they're screaming, and it's interesting how all these patterns interact with each other, and they can just repeat the same shit over and over. So I feel like I'm not sure how this video lands right. I feel like I'm rambling a lot, and it's a little weird. And it's also about predicting prices, but it will be interesting to see. And boy, would I love it if this is not the top. The other difference, well, no, not the difference. I guess back then I didn't need to sell. I was just predicting. I wasn't, tell you, I'm way better investor than I was in 2017. I wasn't even doing portfolio allocation and and all that kind of crap. I was just more all over the place. And the bottom line is this time, I don't need to sell anything. Thank God. I already bought a house all cash. And I've already got it. I got enough cash for like 3 years. So I don't care. I'm not going to sell when things are low. So I'm not making, again, don't live based on predictions. But within the big scheme of things, the chance that Bitcoin is about to have its turn and run seems like I would not be surprised. Like in that video where's that video? I was crying. Look at me. I mean, you can see the tears.
Into all the different cryptos and you don't own some Bitcoin, you are FOMOing your ass off right now.
Yeah. I was like, I remember, and I was with a friend because I was Mr. Crypto, and like Bitcoin literally like went up 100% in a month. And I remember she's like, "Oh, you have a lot of Bitcoin?" I was like, "I got a lot of Ethereum." She was like, "Oh, that's too bad." I was like, "Fuck." All right, everybody. Thank you, and let me know your thoughts.
And I concede.
Where's my stop?